3 million years from Earth, the Red Dwarf podcast Thanks for the Memory. Its crew, Blake Braswell, a USA native, and Lee Malaby, his English co-host. Additional. Time aboard Thanks for the Memory can be monotonous. To alleviate the boredom, Blake and I repurposed a podcast mixer last week into a triplicator, but Blake accidentally dropped it in the toilet. What a shitty day that turned out to be. What's up, Smegheads, and welcome to Series 5 of Thanks for the Memory, a Red Dwarf podcast where we rewatch every episode of the BBC comedy show Red Dwarf and discuss them. I am your host, Lee, and I am here with my good buddy, Blake. Hey, Blake.
Hello. I am over here laughing because I can hear that in Holly's voice from season 1. That was a good classic Holly joke.
I've been mulling that one over in my head for the last week, trying to just get it so it was like succinct and perfect, and I was like, love it.
Golden. Well, we have headed over to Series 5, Episode 5, Demons and Angels. The episode originally aired on March 19th, 1992. An experiment with a machine that can duplicate an object goes wrong and Red Dwarf explodes. Literally, we might talk about that later.
Yeah.
Where the Red Dwarf crew find the machine has made 2 copies of Red Dwarf. Both ships contain their good and evil selves, the high and the low.
So, interesting fact, I've said to you before that we're, moving past sort of Series 3, these episodes were very vague in my memory, but I expected to watch each one and be like, oh yeah, I remember this one. Like, the next one, very definitely. We watched it for the 3rd time last night. I know we're not talking about the last episode now, but Trace was like, I don't know whether I remember this. And I'm like, oh, even if you don't remember this episode, there is one thing in there you will very much remember very specifically. And she was like, oh, yes. This one, I had no memories of whatsoever.
It's funny. The opening was burned in my brain of this one, of the Lister and Crichton making the
strawberries,
extra 2 strawberries, and this one's divine, and the other one's like, I don't know, it's got a nice wriggly texture, and then like this close up of the maggots, and Crichton's face just going like as he's sitting there talking about the strawberries.
Like, yeah, disgusting.
But that's burned in my head. And I quite, to be honest, I really like this cold open. One, it's just funny because Lister eats a terrible strawberry after it has replicated the good and the bad versions, or the high and low version of the strawberry. But it sets up something slightly different. So the cold opens to me have always been the what's life like when this story isn't happening,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The what's going on between. And this is the first one we've had kind of like a, hey, look, we're trying to do this. This could change like our food store. Like they're honestly like a glimpse at like, oh yeah, there is an element now that they've gone on long enough of how do we survive? How much stuff do they actually have that can make food and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And I like that because I don't think we really have a cold open that's like that. You have like tinkering on the talkie toaster and stuff, but not stuff that's like literally, this is kind of important.
Like they've gone away from the fact that they are stuck out on a ship 3 million years from Earth with potentially the last human being alive and a limited amount of supplies. And to kind of bring that back around, it's like, again, we bring up the matter paddle. What's a matter paddle? It still makes me laugh, that from last season, wasn't it? Yeah. Last series from Waxworld. Meltdown?
Oh, yeah.
What was that episode? It was Meltdown, wasn't it?
Meltdown, that you can transfer yourself around. Yeah.
So I love that little callback to the matter paddle as well, which is cool. But yeah, we've never really, not for a long, long time, kind of delved into the fact that they are in a precarious position, or at least Lister and Cat, I guess. Because it is kind of nodded to in this that a lot of these things that affect Cat and Lister don't really affect Crichton and Rimmer.
Right.
Because that's funny. I love that bit. Yeah. But this is... See, you mentioned something a few episodes ago, and I think you've got it confused, Blake, with this episode. When the whole awooga, this is not a daffodil, because you mentioned that back from an episode before, and I was like...
I transferred it.
Yeah, I didn't want to pull it up, because I'm like, did I did I zone out when she was saying that? And then I watched this episode. Oh, that's what he meant. Okay.
Awooga, this is not a daffodil.
Yes.
Repeat. Yes.
And Rimmer's like, oh, at least Holly's not affected.
Yeah. I love the gerb explosion prior, by the way. Like, let's try it. Clack, 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 clack. And then they just go into slow motion and just blow up gerb pyrotechnics. Like, and gerbs, if you don't know, those are like those spikes you'll see like wrestlers or sparks you'll see like wrestlers walk through and stuff like that.
Okay.
But like it just those gerbs pap, 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 pap all over that scenery and just do it in slow motion. I flippin' love. But yeah, awooga. So something's been taken from my unicycle or whatever. Like, yeah, you're right. But because there's a similar gag in a prior episode, right? Where something doesn't work. Isn't that why I referenced it?
Yeah, it's the because she says it's the way she says it just makes me laugh every time because she's like, awooga, abandoned ship. What is it? Is it the white hole? No, it's one. It's the one where Lister uses the. So they're having whatever issue it is, and Lister goes and uses the pot noodle machine, and it starts doing the countdown, or the soup machine, and the countdown to the ship exploding.
Yes.
Which episode was that? Is it White Hole?
I feel like that's White Hole.
My memory's terrible.
I can't. Yeah, I don't know. I have to go back and look. But I know. I remember now, like making that reference.
Yes,
because there's two instances where
there's like an alert.
This version of Holly does the like messed up or whatever. But you know, my voice recognition unicycle has been damaged or whatever. But she delivers it so like, awooga, repeat. This is not a daffodil. Like it's just so like dry and to the point. I friggin' love it.
There was a really weird joke in this. I know we talk about weird jokes all the time in these episodes, but it was I've only wrote half of it down and I can't remember exactly what it is now. But Crichton references something like, oh, it'll be as easy as a Norwegian buying snow boots. And I'm like, that is such a weird...
That is, yes. He's a Norwegian buying snow boots. To which then Kat walks through and goes, hey, buddies, they're playing the awooga dance. Anyone care to join with me? like for a waltz or whatever? Like it's
It's such a weird reference. Like I don't... Like again, some of the references or jokes that they make are just so left field that it's like.
Now, do you think that's a Crichton joke because he's trying to learn how to do jokes?
I'd never considered that, but maybe. But it happens so often through these 5 series so far that I just think Rob Grant and Duck Naylor have this really strange, off-kilter sense of humor.
Well, I was reading some stuff about the original production of this, and there was a lot of added, there were a lot of jokes and stuff that got cut, and it's funny reading because there are a bunch of one-liners and stuff that like, oh, that would have been too many in that they filmed that would have been too many in this opening scene.
Okay.
But so it's like, you feel like, do they just go nuts and go, we're going to do it. We're going to do all these one-liners and things, and they go back and go,
and then pick the best ones out. Yeah, but then... Like, if that's the case then, and we stuck with Norwegian buying snow boots, I want to know what the ones that got cut were.
Right. I hope the other ones were actually better jokes, and you gave Crichton a weird one.
Yeah. It makes sense. I never considered that, yes, Crichton is still kind of learning around being around people.
But I mean, like, even Rimmer's got the one, like, what's your next trick? Juggling neutron bombs or whatever after they explode. The matter paddle like, makes that room go all the sparks and stuff.
Spoilers, I didn't really like this episode that much overall, but there are some really good jokes in here specifically. I have a really strange one. So when they end up... So we've got to the point where Red Dwarf blows up, and then because of the triplicator, because they reversed it, the 2 other versions of Red Dwarf pop up. So they go on to the high version of Red Dwarf, and Lister's trying to find out if it's any good, and he gets the pot noodle out.
Yeah.
Right? So I have a weird reference thing here again, and we're going to go back to the whole Betty Boop thing that we talked about a few episodes ago. So he calls it a pot noodle. Now, pot noodle is a brand name.
Right? It's like saying Kleenex for face tissue or whatever, right? Yeah.
Or a Hoover for a vacuum. Yeah. Yet the noodle itself, if you look on the the actual pot, it says a lot of noodle. So they reference it by name, but aren't allowed to show the... I thought that was weird.
Well, I mean, to me, it almost like, you'll always say, pass me a Kleenex, and it doesn't matter who made the tissue, at least here in the States. I mean, like, that's people just call, or like,
yeah.
Can you Xerox this for me? Well, I guess that's maybe not done as much as it used to be. So you can make a copy because we don't actually have a Xerox machine, but yes.
You mean like when people record stuff on like their TiVo box, they still say, "Did you tape it?"
Did you tape? Yes, yeah. Or the fact that right now on my computer, I'm staring at a thing that's like, "Do you want to save this?" And the button is a flipping floppy disk.
Which we haven't had floppy disk for like 20 years.
No, my daughter doesn't. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
It's the save symbol, but that's all she knows. Yeah.
Oh, I've got a good reference for that of old things showing up in new things in the next episode for definite.
I do like that pot noodle moment is great. Also that he loves and he goes through and lists like all the major canon events for Lister along the way. I've given birth to twins.
Yes.
I've played a pool with planets, but never my wildest dreams. I imagine I'd have to taste an edible pot noodle.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love, you know me, I'm very much a continuity thing. And we've talked about Red Dwarf not being written overall in continuity. It's more they will harken back to things because it's like, oh, we can reference that here rather than it being written as an overall narrative. So I love when they do callbacks to previous episodes, especially like Future Echoes. Like that's when I gave birth to twins. Back in Future Echoes, it was series 1.
Yeah. I love that. It's such a good bit though. This whole bit, that one of my favorite jokes prior to that moment happening is them going like, is Crichton's very Crichton informational one of like, we only, it's I don't know, 10 hours to the nearest S3 planet, which I don't think will be a problem because we only have oxygen for about 7 minutes or what I like, know, and like he keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And Rimmer's like, well, it doesn't bother doing anything to us, does it?
And he's like, yes, but you only have enough power to last 4 minutes, sir. But I love, we go about talking about Crichton, that he doesn't deliver these things as jokes. He just delivers them.
Yes. Like straight up, like, let me do this from least good news to worse good news for these humans. As if that's like a thing that's programmed in his brain. I love that bit though, that like, what is it? That you're going to die. You only have 7 minutes left to live. It's tragic. It's tragic. Like his delivery of that's so good.
with that slight smirk on his face that Rimmer always has.
Well, sir, if I could intervene. Yes. Come on home. And this is our second our second Boys in the Dwarf, two episodes in a row. We got our Boys in the Dwarf, but like Boys in the Dwarf and all. Come on, homeboys, let's posse.
See, I hate that bit. That like the Red Dwarf Boys from the Dwarf bit's funny, but then when Rimmer does that, I kind of cringe a little bit, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it is super cringe, to use the parlance of the kids today.
I'm sure, because I know you've talked about it a lot when you were a kid, that hearing religious jokes in comedy was kind of weird. And there's one in here when he's like...
burned in my brain.
But you think
burned in my brain. Jesus
was a hippie, sir. Well, he was. He wore sandals, he had long hair, and he didn't have a job. What more do you want?
I love Crichton's like, with respect, sir, even Jesus was a hippie.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a like... but it's also like, oh yeah, like...
You're like, yeah, you kind of was, yeah.
It's so good. And he didn't have a job. What more do you want? And like Rivers just dead delivery of it. Yes, this is one of those religious jokes that was burned in my brain as a kid. I would actually put this one right next to the original page of the Bible has been found.
Oh yes.
It reads as thus: all characters inside are fictitious in any
Brilliant. I love that. That's probably the best one ever. Sorry for everyone who's religious, but that is probably the funniest like religion joke, at least to date.
Yeah, I don't know if we get any other good ones, but this is one I've definitely been waiting for.
So I had something written down in my notes here that I don't know whether I just haven't noticed or whether it's new for this episode, but Cat has a white stripe down the middle of his hair in this episode.
It's just this episode.
That's weird.
Yeah. Isn't that? It looks like it's a conscious, like a, I was noticing it last night when I was doing a rewatch. like a conscious fashion choice, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
It looks like there's an actual. I don't know if it's actually the hair or if it's like something that's in the hair.
Oh, okay. It was very strange, like where it just came from. Is it in the next episode? I can't remember.
No,
that's weird then.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even like...
Some really weird things that I noticed when we were watching things. There's another one about Lister in the next episode that when we were watching it last night, Tracy and I were like, that's strange. Oh, but then we'll get to that on the next one. You might have noticed it, you might not. I might mention it, you might go, I don't know what you're talking about, or you'll go, oh yeah, I kind of noticed that as well, but whatever. That's the next episode.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, like, I'm trying to get a picture of it, but there is a it is in this episode, but the look is burned in my brain because the entire series 5 opener has the shot of him coming up after he's set on the implant, and you see the stripe down his hair. Right,
yes.
So you see it a lot through the whole season.
Okay.
But it's actually only in this episode. It's just that it's in every...
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, every opener. But I did notice that too. I was like, wait, is this a thing that will change and happen again? It might happen again, but I don't think that does. I just want the yellow suit back. That's still my favorite, the yellow suit with the heart.
Yeah.
It's true. They really do love you. I absolutely love that. That's my favorite outfit. But seeing the hippie versions of themselves, the sort of like high versions of themselves,
it was very
pontificating
odd.
And it's so good. Like Kat's higher self of, I find clothes in the pursuit of fashion.
Oh, yes.
In conflict with, the pursuit of, whatever, like
well, that's
spiritual
funny.
enlightenment.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because I find the pursuit of enlightenment a hassle for something to do with, I can't remember what the exact line is.
Yeah, like the distraction from the pursuit of clothes. Like, yeah.
It's like, something about a babbling brook. I love that line that comes back later when he dies and he's like, my brook is babbled.
It's so good. Well, and they have, I mean, again, we always talk about like how much fun they have when they play these alternate versions of themselves, which is like literally the last 2 episodes. But doing these sort of alternate takes on themselves, they end up having like so much fun with the little shuffle, the way they walk out of the room.
I like the bending up and down as well.
Yep.
Like, yes. Like so busy. It's just weird. I bet it's episodes like this. I bet they get to have a lot of fun. And the next one, like you say, just kind of stepping out of who they are. It's like going back into, my brain is not working. Balance of Power, or I'm trying to remember the one where Rimmer takes over Lister's body to try and get him in shape and doesn't. Like, being able to step out and play something different is probably a big deal for them. So I think that you can see that they're having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, they have more fun after we switch to the low versions of all of them.
And that's so weird.
Once you go to the other ship, because their other ship is hailing a distress, and they only half the matter panel exists there.
Yes.
And you get to meet all the low versions of them. God, like they're so good. I don't know what it is about Lister's low version that makes me crack up. But the fact
it's that weird little
he's only got like 2 lines. But his
that's all he does. Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's the one that lusts after meaningless sex. Like, even the voice is just so cartoon. It's not even a cart. It's so weird. I just love low Lister. It just cracks me up. It's like he got dressed, started making that voice, and just, I mean, they're like, yeah, just keep doing whatever that. Just keep doing that.
So we've definitely alluded to this before of the amount of like sci-fi references in Red Dwarf. I want to see if you agree with this. So that when they first go aboard the low ship and they're kind of getting chased about, that music is very Terminator. If you go back to the bit when the Terminator's on the bike chasing Sarah and Reese, and they're throwing those like homemade pipe bombs at him, it's that like 1980s ding 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 music, and that music when they're getting chased around the cargo bay or whatever it is very reminiscent of Terminator.
I really love that. Actually, I really like that music. I love that you actually pointed that out. That whole, as they're running around and running into each of them, friggin' Lister's tobacco spit onto Lister's face. Oh God,
it's when
so good.
When Crichton gets shot, he's accidentally shot me 5 times.
Yeah, I love that. Poor soul.
And then Cat comes out and look, he's done the same.
So there's a grievance arrow with thy weapon. It keepeth shooting people. Boom. You see?
Yeah. It's such a weird... See, I'm having way more fun talking about it than I did actually watching it at this point, which is odd.
It's a weird... Well, you said something early on I'll agree with. It is a show, it's an episode where you're like, I don't know that I really like this as much. Man, there's a lot of really good jokes.
There is, yeah.
And it's, I think we've said this about a previous episode, but there's that saying about like, this is better than the sum of its parts.
Yes.
And this is like the reverse of like, this has really good parts.
But doesn't necessarily come together as a good episode.
It doesn't quite tie the bow. And the problem, and in the episode that follows this, I think does. And
yes.
then the episode that preceded it with Quarantine really does.
Yes.
So it makes it stand out. Now,
true.
And not to get too far ahead, but I did look a little bit like into the production of this. And it's funny when I'm like, wow, this is really good. What's happening? And then you discover they brought in a couple of things. They brought in a new director who was like, I don't think this is for me, and only did part of it. And then Rob Grant Miller had to go back in and do it. And the studio that they were using, there was some problem with scheduling. So they literally would block something once and film it.
Oh.
In like a take or two. And knowing that on my second watch, because I never look at that stuff prior, on my second watch, I was like, oh, that's why this one misses some polish. I think there's just some, and also like they were held up for time for having to do all the twin stuff where you got all the same people playing multiple characters in the room. So you got to do that like split screen filming and whatever, so that you can have, two Listers and two Crichtons, together. And if you think about it from that point of view, the lack of, to me, that's where you lose your lack of polish of something like Quarantine.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, that makes sense now, because I love this episode for like, as we're sitting here talking through it. God, there's so many gags and little things I love. It doesn't quite.
No.
Putting a bow on it is the only way I can think of it.
No, you're right. And speaking of those, like twin effect, some of the effects were bad. There's one where I think low Listers stood over like normal Lister, and he rolls away. He's on the floor and he rolls away, and it looks terrible. And it's funny how we commented on, was it Camille? The high five between Cat and Cat looks
so good.
So good. Like you wouldn't question that they weren't together there.
Now knowing they would have to do split screens for multiple people instead of one. And had to, so whatever it was with the studio, there was a saying it said that they had to like, they literally were like blocking something once and just filming and going. And then it was another director, and then they kind of stepped in halfly through. So you're like, oh, this all makes sense now. Yeah. Because there are so many like good jokes. I mean, let alone the iconic reveal of Low Rimmer. Good God, is amazing. I'm going to lash you to within an inch of your life. And then I'm going to have you. And his face that he makes is so good. Oh my God. Like his reveal just flipping amazing.
It looks
I think
like
you got it in the trivia that according to Chris Berry, when he came out of the trailer wearing the Low Rimmer costume, Danny John Jules is on the floor rolling in laughter. Like
Go on, sorry.
I would say it's amazing. There's a world where I like to think that Chris Berry like said, let me see these costume pieces. I want these.
Yes. And then the rest of them didn't see it until he came down those steps. That's what you want to know. It's funny.
He's like Red Dwarf Frankfurter.
Yes,
basically.
That's what Tracy said when we were watching it last night. He's just trying to be Frankenfurter. I love that his H is slightly askew as well.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was thinking back to the trivia that we did for Quarantine, and if you look at the trivia for that, apparently like Chris Barry didn't want to wear that gingham dress, and he only did it as long as everybody else wore it. And I'm like, you kicked up a fuss about wearing a blue gingham dress, but you're prepared to wear not a lot, like fishnet stockings and tight budgie smugglers and like a leather vest thing, but it's like, so
I know it makes me actually, a lot of times IMDb trivia has to be taken for a grain of salt. And so I'm like, I want to hear because it seems to me like this one is the much more like revealing.
It's way more extreme costume. Like if you give me the choice of the two, I'm wearing that blue gingham dress every time.
Check red gingham dress.
Was it red? Sorry.
Yeah, red check, green gingham dress,
Sorry,
and nothing is amiss. And you're telling me you're perfectly sane?
The king of the potato people. Just going before that section, Blake, we'll come back to that in a minute. I'm sorry to cut you off, but there is a bit. So when we first see Crichton, and it just shows his feet walking through the boxes I'm assuming it's the cargo bay. I did a U, and I was watching it with Tracy last night again, and I went, just watch, you can see the cameraman's shadow come up behind him. I was like, there it is.
Amazing.
So it's like a close-up on his feet walking through, and then you see literally like his shadow's in front because it's obviously lit from behind, and then you just see the cameraman's shadow just pop up behind his feet. I was like, that's the type of thing Blake notices. I never notice those things.
I think that's part of you having to film so fast too.
Yes.
Right? You know, you're like, do we get it? We got it. Go. We don't have so much
mean,
time
who's going to
studio.
notice it as a rule? Back when it came out, no one noticed that. And even if you did, who cares?
Oh, no. It's like one of the background shots is for the next episode. I was like, wow, you can really tell that those are spray painted crates, but I don't think you'd ever notice that on the original airing because of the video quality.
Yeah.
You'd never catch that. And you didn't have the ability to, I wasn't watching that. I was watching the guys because
exactly.
Now we're doing multiple viewings. So I noticed stuff like that.
Of course.
But I do like the saber-tooth tiger version of Cat. It doesn't get to do much, but I do like the saber-tooth version of Cat and the just oily, gross version of Crichton that
his voice is so different. It doesn't even sound like Robert Llewellyn at all.
No. There's the part of you that put a magnifying glass on your best friend's neck and watched him.
It's brilliant. If you just heard that voice, you would not know it was him. It's so different from Crichton.
And that's what I mean. I have so many of these bits in here. Like I memorized the dialogue and stuff in an episode that when I rate them doesn't rate as high. But I remember so many bits out of this. I actually think one of the highlights is that scene that we're talking about right now, where they're all together and they've captured Lister to put the implant in him to control him. And that's that whole, it's the part of you that lust after meaningless sex bit. That bit's awesome. And when it's like, you walk him over there to see what he wants in that cupboard and slams his nose in it. I think he wants a little bit of lunch, and then goes over to the tarantula. And of course, we just had 4 episodes ago. You've always had this saying about tarantulas, haven't you?
Yes.
I mean, the idea of waking up with one climbing over your cold, clammy body leaves you in a sort of dread. And that he walks to the camera, no, and then drops down face first with that tarantula in the little plastic aquarium.
Yes.
And that eating gag is so great. It's so gross. Picking that thing, I'm going, huh, and shoving that like hairy prop into his mouth and then like sucking the last legs down. Oh,
and there's blood all around his mouth as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Oh, freaked me out as a kid. I did not like that bit at all.
You talk about that bit as well with like the meaningless sex. I actually think the Rimmer bit of that, it delivers it even better because he's cruel, he's selfish, he thinks terrible things. Like
you just want like a holodeck episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. You want the low Rimmer to have shown back up as a villain somewhere that like gets sentience.
It's that he thinks terrible things. Like, you are a weirdo of the highest order, but I want to see more of you.
I like I don't know why this bit as a kid or this thing it always cracked me up, but like Crichton's delivery when actual Crichton, the next scene when him and Kat are going into the bunk to try to find the other matter panel, and Crichton's like, ooh, and opens the refrigerator and is like, cinema hot dogs. And the way he says cinema hot dogs is so disgusted. It just cracks me up. And of course, it's this gross little wiener that's like, it's like, ooh, stormy kebabs with little stringy lettuce. Like
brown with brown stringy lettuce. But
I don't know, cinema hot dogs. It's the way he says it makes me laugh so much.
It's like you have you have completely turned me around to Crichton. I said to you when we first got into series 3 when Crichton came in, I was never the biggest fan of Crichton. And the more we've rewatched these, and again, we said it, he's not funny. He doesn't tell jokes. He just is Crichton, but the things he says are funny and even funnier because he delivers them so straight-laced. he's like, he is the straight man to the rest of them, and it works so well. Crichton is probably my favorite character at this point.
Yeah, I absolutely love Crichton. Like the show, this chemistry of the crew takes off. You can almost tell it's easier to write with having Crichton there, because there is the need to explain some of the sci-fi things or whatever or almost the conduit of the audience who doesn't know what's going on. And he is the perfect in character, doesn't feel like exposition person to like do that stuff. And even though I know Holly used to do that, there is something to having the performer there with the people doing the thing that I think makes either version of Holly, it's hard to compete with, like to actually be on set and like, doing the thing with them. But he's so like,
his delivery is brilliant of everything.
On everything. And if he does tell a joke, it's intentionally terrible.
But then it's funny. Yeah. But then like when you go back to, look, sir, no sleeves. Like, probably the funniest. But he's, again, I know we've over-egged it because we keep talking about it all the time, but he's not saying it to be funny. He's not taking the piss out of Rimmer. He's just saying, look, I don't have any sleeves, so it couldn't be up my sleeve, or Lister, whoever it was. Like, he's not doing it to sort of be sarcastic towards Lister. He's just saying, like, look, sir, no sleeves.
Yeah, you got plans up your sleeve? No plans, sir. No sleeves.
It's brilliant. Brilliant. I love him.
And it's that whole adage of when you're putting a show together with trying to do a comedy show, if you're directing the performers, be like, if what you're doing is funny, you don't have to be. Just remember that.
Exactly. It's true.
And we talked about some of the weak spots in the first couple of seasons was, they're really trying to make a joke here and going, it should have ended there. Yeah. Don't say the next thing. We've already got that it's funny. But also in context of now having gotten to season 5, that's just starting out. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of stuff. It's like not trusting the audience, not trusting the performers because you haven't worked with them a bunch yet. So how's it going to come across and delivered? And now they don't have to,
because they've got an audience. Things. The audience knows who the characters are. You don't need to over-egg it now because, they're writing for an audience who already get what they're doing rather than writing it trying to grab an audience who they don't know. Like, again, I still question at this point who this was made for, like what the target audience was when they made this. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's why those of us who love Red Dwarf love it though, because like discovering this as a kid, I was like, who is making this show for me? Like, because it's such a thing that I like. And I feel like all fans of Red Dwarf that I've talked to and stuff, or that really were grabbed by it, it hits them so perfectly that I think is part of the attachment to the show. Is like, even when it's not great, give it to me, man. Like it's like pizza that's not as good, still pizza. Give me a slice. Like I want it. Like it, It's like kind of aimed at that. When you look at it, really, it's like that 14 to 17-year-old sci-fi nerd who wants something a little bit less straight-laced than Star Trek. Yes.
It's
yeah.
Like,
you want to have, everything takes it so seriously, right? Star Wars, the Force, dark side, the Star Trek, the science and yada. And then this is just, it's in some ways feels more real at times.
Yes.
Because if Star Trek is what we hope we could try to aspire to.
I know what you're going to say now.
And you go, well, maybe we're more Star Wars. Like, I think it's less than that, guys.
It's like
drop it down a bit.
Yeah, it's kind of looking at. So you look at like Star Trek and Star Wars are like people who know what they're doing, like people who have trained. So like Star Trek, people who have trained to be in those positions, and
scientists.
Or like
brilliant androids.
Yes, starship captains and all the rest of it, and like navigators and all the rest of it. And then it's like, well, hang on, what would happen if all those people on that ship died and we just left with literally the 2 lowest workers on the ship trying to run the entire ship and get by? That's Red Dwarf. And like having those kind of little sex references here and there, as a 14 or 15-year-old, especially back in the 80s and like early 90s, you were like, ooh, was titillating, wasn't it? Oh, there's a bit of sex joke because you didn't really get it back then as much as you do now. So yeah.
That cinema hot dog looked like a penis. Like, like exactly.
It's like, I'm going to whip you within an inch of your life. and then I'm going to have you. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah, it's definitely aimed at that age bracket, but then appeals to the older, those people that were that age at some point and then go, oh yeah, it's kind of funny as well.
I have an odd line I want to throw out because Kat, throughout the course of the show, at least as far as I remember through like season 6, 7.
I will apologise, listeners, by the way. Blake does know it is series and isn't doing it on purpose because we haven't recorded for a while.
Oh, you're right. I don't have my series practice going on. I don't. We know all the things Kat calls Lister, and in this one he calls him something different. Because he comes into the room with Crichton. Crichton's gotten the matter paddle transporter.
I think I remember.
They just sent out Lister, who killed Rimmer and High Lister. I seem to have stained thy knife in with my blood.
Yes.
But they walk into the room and Kat has Rimmer. He goes, I found gold, post head. No sign of mouse cheeks though.
Oh, mouse. Yeah. Weird. I don't understand where that comes from.
Adorable. But like it's such a cute like thing for Kat to call him. I would like to point out something I didn't realize till we were just talking about this. So there's a pace to things that when you're filming stuff, you can sometimes in the edit get. Or if you have the opportunity to film a few, you could go, oh, that was close. Can we do that again? But just like da da ba da. Gotcha. Let's film. Okay, take 2. Danny John Jules is so clearly a theater performer because he is the one person in these little things that he does that has the correct pacing.
Right. Because he's used to doing it live.
Yeah. And because I was going to say, whereas part of this feels like because they were rushed, it doesn't quite have some of the polish, but little things Danny John Jules does, just like coming in the room going, hold on, look at these movies. Mutant Gore Splat Monster.
Yeah, I want to see, what was it, dying with things stuck in your head. I want to see that.
Yeah, but the way he does it, bap.
Yes.
Like it's so strong. And I just see the theater performer and knowing back the second time watching, knowing that they had this really crunch of a time to film, and you're like, oh man, you can see it with him though. He had a clear choice that had like a rhythm to it each time. That was like so good.
I wonder if he found that frustrating then.
Well, I'm sure the whole time he's filmed, his takes have always been faster.
Yeah.
Than most of them.
If he's like in behind the camera going, God, for fuck's sake, these guys can't. How come I'm the only one? How come I'm the only professional here? Come on.
And and I think Robert Llewellyn, I know he did a lot of stand up and stuff. I don't know how much theater stuff he did. I mean, your actors in the UK all do so much more theater than they do here. So
really?
Naturally, you guys tend to have a better pacing thing. He's just really, it's just something, I don't know. It really stood out to me this episode because
interesting.
He feels a tad more polished. But yeah, mouse cheeks. That's so cute. What a cute thing for him to call Lister.
But where's it come from? That's what I don't get. Like goalpost head makes sense.
Right.
But where does mouse cheeks come from? It's very strange.
I don't know, but it's cute. I do, as a kid, I always liked the Liverpudlian accent of the particular line of when Lister comes in and there's like, hey, what's up, buddy? And they takes off the duct tape from his mouth and he goes, look out, I'm going to kill ya. Like,
I'm a homicidal maniac.
And there was, as a kid, that I tried to replicate that dialect over and over with that particular line. I love that bit. Hitting him with the axe and like, that whole scene, I love the whole, you got to take me by surprise, shoot him in the kneecaps. What? No, you can't kill me. Like, that'll just end you. Here, pick him with that axe. That'll kill me. You got to do something that's painless. And then that boom, hit to the nuts that you don't even see. But like that timing is so good. And actually this little scene feels more in line with our previous episodes. The whole like, you got to do something to take me by surprise. I think I have an idea, sir. You can't let me know. I won't let you know, sir. Coming up behind you now, sneaking around now. You got to do something. No, sir, you might experience the slight sensation of chloroform. He goes, all right, sneaking, go and incapacitate you now, sir. Like that whole bit feels like something from the previous episodes as far as polish is concerned.
Yes, yeah, so that one does.
That scene like nails it. But then I would actually say and I'm coming around now to surprise you, sir. That's my favorite line. The end particularly does not wrap a bow. Now, typically, Monty Python, was famous for. Buttons at the end of a bit are hard, like a true like punchline. Like you've got this funny sketch, this funny premise, and Monty Python are the kings of what's the punchline? There, we don't write one. We just end it.
Yeah. And it's funny because Red Dwarf was always that. You go back to that first 1, 2, 3 seasons, there was an end. Like, it's a smegging garbage pod. Like, there was a definite punchline at the end. This one, and I would kind of argue the next one a little bit as well, doesn't? They just kind of end.
Yeah. The next one ends correctly only because I know what's coming, which I found interesting when I saw it. I agree with you. I went, this one has a similar sort of fade to black vibe, but because I know what's coming, it almost kind of makes sense, but no one would know that.
No.
At the time.
No.
But yeah. This sort of they start fighting each other again on the ship because of the control. And then they hear the Lister laughing in the supply closet, and Crichton blows him away, which I don't know plot wise how that works.
Yeah, why is he still alive? Surely he would be dead. Because surely if Red Dwarf disappeared, he would disappear as well. Because he was
right. If the two disappeared and came back into one, yeah. And to me, it feels like they're like, we don't have an ending.
Yeah,
let's have an ending.
That doesn't make sense.
You don't even need that guy because you can just. Well, I guess you need someone to control it. Is the idea?
Yeah. Cat could have just found it and then just gone, just give me a week.
But of course he had it and he went in and started hitting the controls. So, yeah, it's odd. Like it does end weirdly. It's, you know what, again, it's the polish thing, I think.
Yeah.
That bit happens. Forget the weird plot. It's just like some of the time travel stuff, whatever. I'll wait. I'll hand wave it. And like, it makes sense to like, hold on. And Cat picking up the control and be like, and it's making Lister smack himself. Give me a week. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I love
like, that's funny.
And so there's nothing actually wrong with that idea. It just, it's like one of the polished things. It just doesn't quite hit,
Yeah.
They don't all have to be smegging garbage pod. That was a really good
It really was. Yeah. Probably the best one.
But it didn't, yeah, I'm with you. It kind of like didn't have something. There was something it didn't have there that I agree with.
It's kind of, I can't remember which episode we talked about where it started off one way and went somewhere else, and we felt like there was a better episode there if they'd have carried on with whatever the original plot was.
Oh, it was the one that was, you thought the ship was going to self-destruct.
Was that Body Swap?
Yeah, that was more interesting than...
Yeah. And I feel like this one, like, they had a premise of like, oh, what if we do a triplicator and we reverse it and it pops out these two different versions of them? And it's like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that. But then,
the idea is great.
But then didn't necessarily know how to end it. Like, what do we do now? And because they're on that big time crunch, it was like, I don't know, just, like Monty Python, just, I don't know, just do that. That'll do. No one's going to question it in 30 years' time on a podcast.
And they clearly spent their time on some previous ones, like Quarantine and stuff like that.
Yes, well, we've seen that a lot, haven't we? These episodes, and I think it's there's in the trivia for the next one is interesting again, where we've talked about how they go into each series with an idea of which episode's going to go where, and then it generally changes. And that's the same for the next episode. So again, they try to, as a rule, sort of start strong and end strong. But then those middle episodes, again, budgetary things and what have you sort of play into it. Like you said, just these outside forces that they can't control obviously have an impact on things as well.
I feel like this would be one of the top 10 had polish, because the idea and some of the premises and jokes are great. Yeah. I think if you could have had the polish to do it. Interesting. As a kid, I did freak out when they exploded Red Dwarf.
Because you're like, oh my God, is it actually going to... Yeah.
Yeah, but they did it. That is the original model, and they blew that thing up for this episode. Like,
wow.
They filmed it at high speed. I was looking on the production of how they made it. It is the original model. They loaded that sucker up with a bunch of pyro and filmed it with high speed. So I think they got like 30 or 40 seconds out of like what was a very fast explosion, obviously, of footage. They really blew it up. And it didn't occur to me as a kid or whatever, but now knowing how shows are made and you're trying to save money. And I went, holy crap, that's a model that got blown up. Is that the model? Because if it is, like, that's expensive. That's a problem. But like, so it done got blowed up.
It will be interesting moving forward to see how many times we actually see Red Dwarf.
Oh, well, I won't spoil it.
Because it's not like you see Red Dwarf from the outside that much anyway, normally, but it's going to be interesting.
Red Dwarf is not in the next episode we're about to see. That is a Starbug-centric episode.
And it's interesting, kind of what we said about the polish. This one having really funny jokes, but then the episode itself not coming together. I feel the next one doesn't necessarily have a lot of funny jokes, but really is a phenomenal episode from start to finish and really polished. It's interesting, isn't it, when you start looking at things from that perspective? Obviously, I've said this before, having you on, Blake, who has that theatre background, that show director sort of brain in that I don't have, you come at these things from a very different perspective for me and pull up things that I would never ever think about, and it is interesting.
Well, I was sitting there going, I really like this episode, but it's not hitting me how I thought it was going to hit me. I was looking forward to it. And then I later read the production story and went, oh, and literally I was like, okay, I get it. I've been there. People are like, oh, I like this thing. Why didn't you do this? And you're like, yeah, you don't know that we were gonna, or that, their outside forces didn't allow for this, or budget time. Yeah. I as soon as I read that, I went, oh, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
It's interesting as well, isn't it, when we talk about the budgetary things, that they do cheaper episodes to allow other episodes to breathe a little bit more and putting the budget in. It would be interesting to see how let's take series 5. They have a budget for the whole series and split it equally, rather than going, well, this one we know is going to need more of a budget, so we'll take budget away from this one to allow that. I wonder how different these episodes would be if they just
I guarantee what they get is a budget per episode, but what they actually do is lump it all together and then go, okay, where do we actually need to?
It would be interesting to see if they'd have just gone, right, this is our budget, let's split it equally between all 6 episodes and we'll just work within the parameters of the budget, rather than going, well, if we need some, we can borrow from here. I wonder how different they would look.
Right. And then you get stuff like, hey, we can save a lot of money one set. We're doing Marooned.
Yes.
But it's one of the best episodes.
Exactly. But then as we know, when it comes to TV and film, sometimes being put in a box not allows you, but it forces you to come at things from a different perspective.
You got to be creative.
Yeah.
It forces you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Something's the mother of whatever it is, I can't even remember.
Adversity is the mother of invention. Or
something like that. So like Jaws. Jaws is the prime example of it, isn't it? Because they had all that issues with the shark. It would never work, and it sort of forced them to go in a different direction. And 30 years later, it's
I forget
it was
60
years. Is it 50 years this year?
50.
I should know that, because we've just been to Universal and they've got all that San Francisco area decked out in Amity again.
Well, my favorite is always Yoda from Empire Strikes Back. Like George Lucas was so happy that what Frank Oz could do with it, but they wanted him to move around more. How do we do this training thing and have Luke running around? And I think it was Irving Kershner, the director, something that was like, what is in a little backpack?
Yeah.
And that becomes like some of the most iconic shots and looks. But that was, it, like you said, I mean, that stuff really, really, really helps you. But the one that you can't ever get hurt by sometimes, or helped by, is time. And I definitely think this one had less time. Does that mean we should rate it? Because that feels like that's what we're floating to.
See, I feel really bad now for the rating that we've talked about it quite affectionately. Like, there is a lot of good jokes in there. And I find that with Red Dwarf, that some of them are funny, some of them are just good writing, and some of them are funny with good writing and good episodes. And then some of them are funny but not great episodes. This one to me was funny but wasn't a great episode. It never made me laugh out loud. There's a moment in the next one, watching for the third time last night, Tracy and I literally laughed out loud. I gave it a 5.
I gave it 6 Mr. Flibbles out of 10 for the whole. I'm gonna stick with that for a little bit, but I give it with some 9 Flibble jokes. That's my thing. I think it's a 6. I gave it a 6, but I think there's some 9 jokes in there. And those are the moments that when they popped up, I remembered so strongly.
It's weird, isn't it? Like some of the best jokes can be in some of the worst episodes. It's very odd.
Some solid, great jokes.
Oh,
I don't feel like just rating it a 5 or a 6 for me. I couldn't do without saying, But there are some really good jokes in it.
There really are.
It just doesn't quite come together.
No, and it's not the first time we've said that. But again, you can't hit every episode out of the park.
No, you can't. But I mean, I still very much enjoyed it. And I mean, I'll watch Lister eat that tarantula any day of the week, and the maggots. God, maggots and tarantulas in the same episode.
I mean, it's testament to how the episode is that we've talked about it so affectionately today and laughed and joked, and it's, like you say, it's just, we expect, I think, a little bit more from the overall story. We know what Red Dwarf can be, and this doesn't quite hit the mark.
It's tough coming right off of quarantine too.
Very true.
Is a good one. That is not just a good one, it is a classic one as well that it has to follow.
Also, I think you could argue that it's sandwiched in between another episode that's probably just as good as well, which doesn't help. Yeah. Yes. Right. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of our penultimate episode for Series 5. Can't believe we're nearly there. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dwarf Memory, and Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Dwarf_Memory for the monthly posts that we might put on there. Because I haven't posted anything on there for ages. No, exactly. That's the problem.
Subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you can, and email us your comments to dwarfmemory@gmail.com.
Yeah, we've actually been getting a lot of comments and emails recently, which is cool. People enjoying what we're doing and reminiscing about Red Dwarf. But yes, the next episode we will be discussing will be the final episode of Series 5, which is episode 6, Back to Reality. So make sure to watch before you join us for the next episode.
Mr. Malaby, wake up, sir. It's over. We're safe now.
Engaging autopilot, course 00 Mark 0, taking her home.
See what you did to my blousing? Look at it. Plus, you almost killed me 3 times.
Sorry, it wasn't my fault. Once you get one of them things in you, you just can't...
Sir, what's wrong?
I think I just sat on the spinal implant, but it doesn't make sense. Who's controlling me?
I better remove the spinal implant and destroy it once and for all. Actually, wait a minute. Just give me 1 week. That's all I ask.
What are you talking about?
Boy, this is going to be fun.